We need to find another song that goes with rolling, like a
Adele, "Rolling in the Deep."
Rolling in the
Isn't
deep.
there a joke? There's a joke that was, if you're like in a canoe or in a boat and you toss your laptop overboard, what do you call it? You're like, oh, it's Adele, "Rolling in the Deep." Some stupid joke.
I've never heard
I
that.
messed up the punchline.
No, haven't heard that. You're playing footsies with me down there, bro.
That is not
That's
me.
for sure you.
No, I'm on the crossbeam.
I know, but my leg's over your foot, and so when you adjust your foot, it's like stroking my calf. Kind of like
You're welcome.
All right, let's dive into a lot of stuff here. We have we're doing like a little screen share action. So we got our DEXAs pulled up, or my DEXA pulled up. You did the ShapeScale too, right?
I did ShapeScale, but I didn't do any metabolic respiration or anything like that, like you did.
Yeah. So today's podcast is kind of data heavy. It is, what is today? Today is the
9.
9.
6-9.
So we've got, you and I just got DEXA scans done. I also got a resting metabolic rate calculation done, and we both got ShapeScale, ShapeScan scales?
ShapeScale. Yeah, ShapeScale.
Done, which is like that 3D rendering of your physique, and then it changes. Like you can go and get multiple scans done, and it shows where the changes were, whether you gained or lost or all that good stuff. So we got that. We also got a whole bunch of blood work done, but we're going to wait to go over that blood work until a later date because I'm also starting an experiment right now. You're deep into prep right now, so lots of stuff to talk about. We've been restocking the bricks like crazy. We just restocked Bell's brownie batter, so that one's back on the site. So let's start with your DEXA scan results.
Okay. DEXA scan, and we use the facility here in Farmington. The facility here in Farmington. You gotta edit that out, Chip.
Our door's open too, by the way.
There's a new facility in Farmington. It is a DEXA Fit branded franchise.
DEXA Fit, which uses the GE brand DEXA machine.
Yeah. Yep. Which is also cool because it all syncs to a DEXA Fit app and database and platform and all that kind of stuff. So you can actually pull up all your previously entered in scans. You can see the trend lines. You can see it gives you your biological age based on a number of factors. It gives you all these different things that you can actually track and trend from scan to scan to scan. Anyways, yeah. So we have them pulled up on our phones. I'm a couple 4 or 5 weeks out from my first show, but my main show isn't until September. So I know I've got a long ways to go. The road is long. My body fat came in at 11.4%, which is roughly 2% higher than my at-home in-body, which is kind of where they seem to flux.
Is your in-body measure the same as my in-body here?
No, this one here is different too.
How much variation?
I think yours reads lower here than
what yours
mine
does?
at home.
Huh.
But it's on a different surface. It's
Yeah.
a different unit. I do it at a different time of the day. Like anytime I do it here, I've already worked out. I'm fed. I've drank water. When I do it at home, I try to not have anything in me yet, and it's at a certain time of day, minimal clothing, all that kind of stuff. So there's too many variables to kind of really weigh yours and mine against one another, but they seem to be a little lower than what Dex is, don't you think?
Yeah. I think I did mine just now, or I did mine the day we did our DEXAs. I think mine showed like 13. And my DEXA was like 14.5. So
okay.
it's
so
within 2%.
Yeah, it's within 1 or 2%.
Yeah,
usually
so
it's
pretty close.
Yeah. But my biological age on the DEXA Fit app shows me at 35 years, which is 9 to 10 years under my actual real age. And one of the other cool things on here is it gives you your overall body score, and we're still hanging out at A+.
Nice.
So one of the cool things about the Farmington location here too is Jerry takes the time to go through all of your results and really breaks it down into everything that's relevant, important, things you can work on, things that are trending good, things that may be trending poorly. I didn't really have anything that was trending poorly. I did have a little bit of visceral fat in there, but that could have been just something funky because I've had way lower visceral fat readings from previous DEXA scans.
Were you leaner in the past when your visceral fat was trending lower?
Yeah. So I mean, overall body comp was at a different stage too. So, but I had a lot of muscle. It was very symmetrical from left to right. It's cool. It's really neat. It's great information, and we'll just keep doing them. I'll probably do another one here in the next couple months as we get closer and closer.
Yeah, having him like freaking in our backyard is super nice because we can get all that tested on a regular basis, as opposed to having to drive 3 hours like I was previously. It kind of most of my body composition DEXA scans were done at Baptist Hospital in Little Rock, and they do not sync up with DEXAFit. So most of my data is not in the DEXAFit app. So all of my 2023 prep data, when I got down to 3.9, none of that shows in any of the DEXAFit stuff, which kind of sucks. But going forward, I'll be able to test all that for future preps and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pull mine up, and this should be showing on chips as well, and then you can see it here. I'm 22 years young, apparently.
What's your actual age?
33.
Okay, so you're 11 years over. Or
Yeah. So I don't know what it's basing that off of. Let's see what Learn More says. I don't put a whole lot of stock in that generally.
I don't think it's got a whole lot of accuracy to it. It's just kind of one way that it gauges your health.
But it'll show summary. Let's see here. Metabolism 1836.
Well, that's because you did an RMR, or did you do a BMR?
I did RMR, and then it kind of estimates BMR based off of that. Body score is A. He said mine probably would have been A+, but mine was showing visceral fat too. That was the what it knocked me on, was fair.
Oh.
But I want to get an MRI scan done because I think that's a cross-sectional MRI of the abdominal analysis is going to be the really best way to tell what your actual visceral fat is. Lean mass, 148 pounds.
What is that's your total body lean mass?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if I go to body comp here, there's my A score. And then it kind of shows the trend. So I guess I've done 3 scans in the past that do sync up with the DEXAFit. Body fat.
What's the date of that most? Oh, January. No. Is this January?
So June 5th was the one that we just did. July 27th of 23.
Okay, so they're a couple years old.
9.9%. And then August 20th, 22 was 16.9.
That must have been pre-prep, post-prep.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like right
yeah.
at
So
prep
that's
time.
exactly what it was. And then July was, I think I started my prep slightly before that. So, but yeah, all of my prep data was before, or I didn't have the DEXAFit data on there.
Gotcha.
And it's got lean mass, 148 pounds total. And then belly fat, that's the visceral fat and AG ratio. And there was one other thing that he wanted to point out. I don't remember what it
Jerry
was,
did?
though. Yeah. I don't remember. But basically, he was showing that some people show that they're metabolizing fat for fuel versus carbohydrates for fuel. And he was like, of all the people he's tested, mine's the only one that he's seen where it was like 90% fat, 10% carbs, whereas most people are like skewed the other way, like 90% carbs.
That's got to be something in your RMR results, because I wouldn't have gotten anything like that.
Yeah. I don't know where that's synced up.
So get out of your body comp screen. There you go. Somewhere in there, maybe.
Oh, maybe, yeah, here. RMR, okay, so this was the resting metabolic rate. So basically I was sitting in a chair for 10 minutes, and then they were measuring the oxygen and CO2 that I was exhaling and breathing at rest. So resting metabolic rate is 1836. And then
that's with zero activity, right?
Zero activity,
Literally
yeah.
just sitting in a lounger.
And then let's see here. Okay, here we go. Primary burn, more fat than carbohydrates of energy. So yeah, 90% fat, 10% carbohydrates there. And then I've only done this test once, so there's not really any thing to see. Now, this is kind of skewed here because this is showing my total daily energy expenditure of around 2,200 calories, but this is not taking into account any training at all because he put in... Let me see if I put this in. So yeah, I normally put moderately active for myself, so about 2,800 calories, because I am working at a computer more often than not. So yeah, I mean my maintenance is right around 3,000 calories in reality, so this is pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty close.
Sweet.
So yeah, that's the data there, and then the other thing is the ShapeScale. So do you see all this on your end too, Chip? All right. So you and I both got this, and this it's kind of cool. You sit on, or you stand on this scale, and this camera rotates around you 360 degrees, high and low, and then it body maps you. It tells you what your weight is, it guesstimates your body fat. So I got them done at the same time. So my DEXA body fat was 14.5. This is guesstimating body fat of 16.4. So there's a little bit of variation there. But what's cool about this is it heat maps where changes are. So red means you're gaining, blue means you're losing. So I don't know what I was doing for forearm exercises.
Yeah,
like
the heck's going on?
my right forearm.
Are you right-handed? Lord.
I don't know what's going on there either.
Looks like you have tennis elbow. Looks like
Yeah. Kind of shows your, but see, it's all jacked up too because that kind of showed like it was messing up the scan. And then you can heat map. So yeah, there's the heat map functionality, and then you can graph it out or you can compare. Kind of trippy.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
The first time you went though, it mismeasured one of your extremities, didn't it? Was it an arm?
Yeah.
Like,
it's
because it tries to visually measure actual circumference.
right. So that's another thing. So if I look at so if you tap on these, it'll like show your circumference measurements, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, but you had one I think the first time that
the first one was all jacked up.
was a little bit skewed.
You can also have it check the volume. So it measures like the volume within a given region. So you can kind of see how things are changing there.
What's the volume of your butt cheeks?
The volume of my butt cheeks is 441.4 cubic inches. So quite a bit of junk in the trunk.
Got some booty.
But where I can see this being efficacious for people is like if you're getting a body scan on a somewhat regular basis, you can actually see what's growing, what's shrinking, and then have like some pretty actionable data there. So pretty insightful.
Super cool.
Way beyond just the body bathroom scale for sure. All right, there's that. Let me just stop sharing my screen here, Chipperone. All right, stop mirroring there. Now, let's talk about.
Well, we got a lot of this stuff done proactively because you're starting a.
Yes. So you and I, like you're in prep, you've been in prep since the beginning of the year. You and I got some baseline blood work done in January. Then you and I just got recently more blood work done to get a baseline because I'm about to start an experiment and you wanted to get blood work done to see where you're at this point in the prep. I was wanting to lose some weight. I lost about 22 pounds over the course of the past few months since the beginning of the year because I was too fat. Right now, I'm pretty much where I want to be, target weight, target body fat at around, well, I ate a bunch this weekend, so I'm up a little bit from water weight on that. But all that to say, pretty much where I want to be. So I'm back into experimentation mode. This sugar diet phenom has been going ballistic, as everybody knows. So Nick Norwitz actually reached out to me. And he's like, hey, let's do an experiment, N=5 experiment. I got a few other people on board. The main mechanism of action of this FGF21 hormone is not so much the sugar that people are eating, but it's the reduction in protein and amino acids because that limits the secretion of that FGF21 hormone. And there's been studies done that actually showcase in a high-fat ketogenic diet, there's actually more of that circulating FGF21 hormone than is present in a high-carbohydrate, sugary-based diet. So I'm like, okay, let's peel the curtain back and let's do an experimentation here. My main goal is to build muscle and, be in a building phase at this point. So I'm not wanting to do anything too drastic. This is going to be a 5-week study. And I'm basically going to be targeting a 4-to-1 ketogenic ratio. So very, very high fat relative to protein. And we'll see what happens to my baseline caloric intake and maintenance intake in light of that macro split. Because just to kind of rewind things a bit further, the main reason people are supposedly losing weight with this sugar diet is because protein is left minimal, so FGF21 hormone is increased. That increases metabolic rate of about 500 to 600 calories or so, and people have found that they can eat more food while still being in a caloric deficit per that increase in expenditure, metabolic rate. So I basically spent the last few weeks getting a baseline established, and my baseline's around 3,000 calories. If I'm eating that, I'm holding pretty stable. So in theory, if I was to maintain 3,000 calories, but at that 4-to-1 ratio, which would only be consuming about 75 grams of protein for me, then I would start losing body fat. So I would need to basically increase my caloric intake by another 500 or 600 calories to maintain the same weight at that 4-to-1 ratio of intake. Does that make sense?
Yep, because you're trying to offset the influx in metabolic rate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, I've skewed things a little bit because I was in a bit of a deficit to 2,500 calories to lose that 20 pounds. And then I spent a week kind of at 3,000 and the higher fat ratio just to kind of get things acclimated. But then this past weekend, I wanted to like have a intuitive couple of days before I started really tracking things for this. So I ate probably 5,000 calories each day, Saturday and Sunday, and now I'm up 5 pounds. But the high fat ratio starts today for me. So I'm going to basically reestablish that baseline and see how my body responds at about 4,000 calories of intake, because for me, I think it's important to actually be satiated throughout this as well, because that's like the biggest selling point of the sugar diet is get leaner, eating so much sugar and actually feeling full. Like I think that's like the main thing that they're suggesting. So I wanted to push the calories even higher to actually have some degree of satiety through it all. But man, 4,000 calories at a 4-to-1 ratio is like this is my macro plan for the day.
Are you going to be like 300 grams of fat or what?
More. So if I was to hit 4,036 calories a day, that would be 121 grams of protein, 34 grams of carbs, 381 grams of fat. And that's still not even really hitting
That's not quite a 4-to-1 though yet, is it?
So that's 12% protein, 3% carbs, 84% fat. I need to be at like 86% fat.
Yeah.
So I've got to tweak it a little bit further. But just that is 2 morning coffees with 8 tablespoons of heavy cream and 2 tablespoons of ghee. Meal 1 is 2 tablespoons of ghee and 2 keto bricks. Meal 2 is 4 eggs, 4 ounces of ground lamb, cooked in 3 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of butter. So like, not a lot of
oh man,
substance in protein by any means. So,
but it'll be super satiating.
Yeah, but man, I like texture too. Like I like tearing into like some meat, like
steak.
Like these past 2 days when I was just eating intuitively, I ate a bunch because I'd been tracking things pretty strictly for the past 6 months. So I wanted to intentionally just take a breather from that. And I probably ate 5,000 calories each day, easy, and a lot of meat. I just like eating meat. But when I eat too much meat, I get fat, which totally flies in the face of what all these people that are like advocating for super, super high protein are saying. Like, you can't get fat over just protein, but that's totally inaccurate. I mean, I've done it. I
think we both have.
Yeah. I mean, protein's great. I'm a huge advocate for protein, but like to suggest that you can't get fat eating too much protein is totally asinine.
It's not a lot of people call it a free macro. You can just eat it. But
yeah,
back when I did the bro diet and all that kind of stuff too, man, I was probably one of those 350 gram plus protein consumers, like that was the thing. Just shovel it down. You're not hungry. You feel like crap eating all that protein, just chicken breast and turkey and lean cuts.
Your joints start hurting more.
Inflammation.
Your blood sugar increases.
It's just, you feel sluggish and bloated, and you're just like a walking marshmallow man.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of this much fat relative to protein either. Like I like the sweet spot in between, but for the sake of experimentation, we'll try it and see what happens.
Well, essentially that's the sugar diet is a crazy excessive amount of calories coming from sugar, carbs.
Yeah,
so you're going to try to you're doing the opposite end of the spectrum with a crazy amount coming from fat.
Yeah,
just to prove a point. What are you expecting to happen? What do you think?
Well, I'm going so much more aggressive with the calories, and I probably should have not had those 2 days where I just ate intuitively and put on 5 pounds. But again, a lot of it's water weight. But for me, man, we could have a whole conversation on the psychology of eating. And maybe we should. But before we talk about that, let's just talk about what I think is going to happen. Yeah. So I think at 4,000 calories, I'm probably still going to gain a little bit of weight because that is pretty aggressive for me. But it'll be minimal relative to what I would be gaining if those same 4,000 calories were coming from more protein. And I feel like my level of fat metabolism is going to be through the roof. I've been testing my glucose and ketones just on a whim in light of this experiment coming up, and my ketones and glucose are never really that impressive. But as of late, they've been typically 80, 90 glucose and 2.4 ketones, which is pretty high for someone that's been as fat adapted as I have for as long as I have.
Right.
So that's promising in that regard. So yeah, I just expect, good cognitive function and, like a deep level of satiety from that fat ratio. But I'm going to be missing a bunch of chicken wings, man. I'm going to crash a whole bunch of chicken wings when this is all said and done.
You don't want to crash like Starburst and gummy worms and stuff like that?
No. That's the thing, man. Like I don't ever eat bad food, like ever. Like I ate intuitively these past 2 days, and I was just getting like brisket and keto pizza and stuff.
So it's the same stuff that you normally eat. You just eat more of it.
Exact same stuff I normally eat. I just eat more of it.
Yeah.
And before I decided to eat intuitively on Saturday, so this weekend is like the last weekend that Crystal and I and Rigel have. It's just the three of us before hazing comes, and we have just people over and stuff like that. So she had a mandatory family weekend for us. Like we were just going to be relaxed and be present with one another. And I went into the weekend, like still tracking like I had been up to this point, and I was just like fixated on food, like fixated on tracking, which is kind of weird because I'm not in a prep right now. I know I was about to start this experiment, but it's like I'm not in a prep right now. Mm-hmm. You are, a lot of the crew is, but I'm not. So why am I holding myself to this level of adherence? And I just started fixating on that as opposed to being present with my family on the mandatory family weekend. So I'm like, all right, we're just going to say, screw it. We're going to eat intuitively this weekend. If I gain some weight, fine. It is what it is. Not the end of the world. I've already kind of hit my goal weight and goal body fat. So let's just enjoy and not worry about it. That's exactly what I did. I ate a lot of food. It was all good quality food. Probably ate a couple more of those keto cookies that Crystal made than I should have. But those covered in pecan butter are pretty freaking awesome.
Okay. I'm going to have to place an order for my post-comp.
Yeah, for your post-comp
treat.
But, I gained 5 pounds. I'm holding water. I like a little bit more fluffy. Like all that is what I expected would happen. But I'm dialed back in now. But what I was thinking is like, you're in prep right now. I've been in prep multiple times. And when you're in prep, you've got a very specific, tangible goal on the horizon. And anything that's counter to that is not even entertained as an idea. It's not even an option. It's not even in your mind. It's like non-negotiable. It's out. When you don't have a prep, when you don't have a show, when you don't have anything, it's like that to me is harder. That to me is like,
totally agree.
Like I don't want to be fat, but I'm also trying to build as much muscle as I can right now because I need to get bigger for the next time I compete. And I've lost 20 pounds since the beginning of the year. But like, how strict do I need to be tracking my macros? Mm-hmm. That's kind of where my mind's at right now. It's just like just always going back and forth, and that's what screws with me. But like, I ate a bunch of food, and I felt fine. But it's like I could always just keep eating more. Like there's no such thing as like enough for me. I could just keep eating, and again, it's all good quality stuff. But I don't know, man. I think for me, I just have to have a goal. Whatever the goal is, I just have to have one. Because not having a goal is tricky waters for me.
I think it happens to a lot of competitors or anybody who's actually gone through either a prep or a bodybuilding or a strength competition, powerlifting meet, anything like that, where you actually were dialed in and you had a specific goal and then you fall out of that and you're done. Like the goal is behind you now and you don't have anything on the calendar coming up. I think it just kind of turns into a little bit of an obsessive over nutrition kind of thing, because you don't want to undereat, but you don't want to overeat, but you kind of want to maintain your current stats, or you want to lose weight or gain weight. You're just never really neutral.
Yeah, and it's like I was telling this to Crystal, and it's like I want to be the absolute best natural competitive bodybuilder that I can be, but what does that look like in a building phase?
Yeah. Like, or in an off season or anything,
like in an off season, like what is defined as the best? Yeah. Like is the best having some semblance of relaxation and giving your mind and body time to decompress from the stressors of a prep so that when you do go into a prep, you can actually perform better? Or is it like rigidly adhering to everything with the same degree of accuracy that you are in a prep so that like nothing gets left to chance? Like, of those two outcomes, which is the best? Like, I don't know. Like, when I'm dialed in for a prep, it's very clear what the best is. Like, I want to be able to hold as much muscle as I can, be as absolutely lean as I can, and be, perfectly dialed in on my posing. And I can check all those boxes because it's very tangible. But, like, when it's less tangible, the notion of what is the best becomes more blurred.
True. But if you you keep doing these analytics and these DEXA scans and ShapeScale scans and everything like that, it'll help you be the best and stay the best through an off season.
Yeah, yeah. And
so
like I
if
don't
you
ever
feel like
let
you're getting
myself
too
go.
chubby, you can pull the reins back in or something.
For sure. How do you feel about it all? I mean, your calories are getting pretty low right now. Like it's probably
We're under 1,900 calories. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, do you like when you hear me say I just ate 5,000 calories Saturday and Sunday, and like, is that like, oh man, must be nice?
Yeah,
or is it just like
cry a little bit?
or is it just like, man, he's not in a prep, no deal, no issues whatsoever. I'm in a prep. That'll be my time to come later.
I find myself wishing I was in the opposite situation, so I have to stop those thoughts before they get too held on. For example, when I'm in prep, I think, man, it would be so nice to not be in prep. But then when I'm not in prep and going through a sense of no goals, like you were just talking about, I'm like, man, it'd be nice to have a goal. Nice to be in prep. So
yeah, grass is always greener.
Exactly. So you have to, like 6 months ago, I was kind of hoping I was going to be in prep. I was excited for prep. I wanted to dial in. I wanted to get lean. I wanted to get some photos done. I wanted to do this and that. Now that I'm doing it, I'm like, dang, it'd be nice to just like go out to eat with everybody and, not care quite as much. But so the grass is always greener, but the grass can also be greener where you water it. So I'm trying to water it more in this current situation.
And that's key, man. And when it comes to like food, like when you're deprived of food, it can be really easy to be like, man, I just need some food. If I get some food, it'll all be okay. My mind will be at peace.
So then you fixate on food.
Yeah, then you fixate on food. But here's the thing, like with food, like you're going to just be hungry again after 24 hours has passed from that food. So like it never solves the problem. It never solves the problem. And like I wanted to really dive into that this past 2 days eating intuitively, because I wanted to like just lay my hands on it, because it's like it's always a fleeting phenomenon. So you can't look to anything fleeting for deep-rooted satisfaction and fulfillment.
Yep.
So like when you're in a prep, you can just fixate about food all day long. But if you were to like totally go off the wall, eat all the food that you wanted to, feel totally full, that would last 24 hours. And you're right back into that same position. But now you've got to like make up for all that time lost. So like, why even entertain that idea in the first place? Like that's not going to be the problem solver.
Yep.
So yeah, it's interesting, man.
It's very interesting.
It is.
On the Keto side of things, though.
Keto side of things.
We got some restocks.
We got some.
You guys have
restocks.
noticed we've been restocking every week, pretty much every Sunday for the last 4 or 5 Sundays.
We were out of stock for so many weeks for all the flavors, and we just got inundated with people requesting restock, which we obviously have been trying to do. So yeah, hopefully people see that those prayers are being answered. We're restocking. So
yes, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that
lots of things
have to fall into place. The dominoes have to fall in order.
Well, PB Hallelujah is going to get made this week and restocked this Sunday. So PB Hallelujah is going to be back in action, which I'm super excited about. It's one of my favorite flavors.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. And then we got some more stuff the week after. Like it's literally going to be restocks on restocks on.
And we sampled the new potential flavor this past week that we're not going to tell you about because
it's good. It's really good. But it may be, if we decide to roll with that flavor, we may launch that flavor instead of buttered maple pecan. So we're not going to tell you what that flavor is yet, but we will say if we decide to roll with it, it may, or at least one variation of the buttered maple pecan. Like we may not do both tallow and cacao buttered maple pecan pending this flavor.
And this new flavor is a tallow based.
Yeah.
It will be tallow. It will be a grass-fed whey.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's really good. And it's kind of like seasonal vibes.
And we all took a bite of it and we're like, whoa.
Yeah. We're pretty good at getting these flavors formulated, man. Like, there's not a whole lot of trial and error. Like we just know what's going to work and we make it work.
Yeah.
One take Jake.
One take Jake.
One take Jake.
What else is new? Nothing. You guys are ready? You guys are what?
So your bicep veins popping.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit more vascularity.
More vascularity, more shredded.
You guys are ready for baby number 2?
Yeah, we have pretty much midwife meeting every single week going forward at this point.
Because it could be literally any day, right?
Yeah, I mean, she's viable now, so
Yeah.
it literally could be. I mean, she's in the third trimester, so any day now is technically viable for having a baby. And then Rigel came 2 weeks later than his target due date, so maybe that'll be the case. Maybe he'll come early. We don't know yet, so it'll be. It's kind of weird because I blocked out my whole calendar in the next week or two so that I can just be on call basically pending, due date. So yeah, I'll be at the ready.
Watch him hang on for those 2 weeks, and then he'll decide to make his way when you're busier than heck.
Probably will be what happened. So yeah, that's exciting for sure. We got a whole bunch of stuff. You and I had like a little shindig powwow last week. Big picture stuff for the businesses. We got some game plan in motion there. Lots of exciting stuff. I told the guys we got some exciting stuff to talk about when Bryson gets back from his week on vacation. So that'll be good. And yeah, pretty much all the new and exciting stuff. So rock and roll. How long have we been talking, Chip?
31 minutes and 12 seconds.
31 minutes.
31 minutes
That's
and
a
12 seconds.
pretty good little half an hour.
We're going to do a whole lot of discussion on blood work because you and I both got our blood work panels done and we tested for hormones, all that jazz. But I kind of want to wait to do a deep dive on hormones until after I get my second round of blood work back after this 5-week experiment, and then I can talk to the change in blood work from one to the next.
We should also find somewhere we can go get a CAC score.
We should do that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Because your cholesterol was high.
It was like 415 or something total cholesterol.
Yeah, I guess we can do a little teaser on blood work. So of notable things, your cholesterol was high.
Yeah, but my trigs were a little high too.
Your trigs were a little high.
Yeah,
my cholesterol was not nearly as high as yours, but my HDL is always super high. My trigs are always super low. So my ratio is always good.
Yeah.
Your testosterone was good.
And that's one of the ones that I wanted to check this go around because back in, was it December or January?
January.
My total test was just over 1,000.
Yeah.
And my free test was still pretty solid also. I wanted to check that now that I'm several months into a prep. My calories are way low and I'm in a deficit, and it was still over 800. And
Yeah.
free test was still rocking.
Yeah, it dropped a little bit, but considering where you're at in a prep,
Right.
totally makes sense why
Yeah.
it would drop. Mine's always low. I think my total was like 330 something, I want to say, and my free was 27, I want to say.
Okay, so yours is considered low by today's standards, right?
It's technically in range, but it's low.
It's in
by
the
my
low end
standards.
of
Yeah.
the acceptable range, low by your standards. But take into consideration how you feel, how you perform, your libido, all these other factors that would directly influence, and how do those stack up?
So let's talk about that for a second. So my testosterone is always low, and a lot of people would be like, well, it's low because you've been strict keto for so long, 10 years, you need to be taking in some carbs. And that's like, well, no, that's not the case, because then I could point to you and be like, Greg's also been strict keto for 10 plus years, and people accuse him of taking gear because his testosterone is so high. So being strict keto is not the determining factor for higher or lower testosterone. Mine, I think, is always low because I'm under a lot of stress with work, and my sleep is always lackluster. Like, I averaged my sleep for the entire year, and my average sleep is like 5.5 to 6.5 hours of sleep for an entire year. That's what I'm averaging. So not very great. I think that's my biggest knock on my testosterone. You have much higher testosterone. You probably don't have that much stress, which is a good thing. But I feel like, people look at low testosterone, and based off of my numbers, they'd be like, all right, let's go to a clinic. I'll show them these labs, and they'll 100% be like, yeah, you're a great candidate for getting on TRT.
Right. That's what I'm getting at. Is like,
Yeah.
the system is just,
Yeah. I mean, I would 100% get qualified for TRT based off of my labs. But, it's like, what is it that TRT is supposed to replace? It's supposed to improve your libido. It's supposed to give you more energy, better recovery. You don't want a dad bod, so it's supposed to improve your composition so that you're not retaining body fat unnecessarily. And you're supposed to have more zeal for life and just be more vibrant as a being. And I look at all those things and I'm like, okay, I don't have a dad bod. Like I'm pretty freaking shredded.
Yeah, but you're a dad with a bod.
Yeah. I don't have this issue recovering. Like I train pretty hard and I have no problems recovering. I don't have this, drab, dull existence. Like I've got a lot of vitality and zeal for life. Like I'm excited to get up and grind every single day. And I've got a baby that's about to be due. So like obviously from a libido standpoint, something must be working there. We're connecting the dots somewhere.
Yep.
So it's like, people look to TRT or HRT to just like fix all their problems, but it's like having high or low TRT is not going to be like your death sentence or, saving grace. Like it's not going to be what you are defined by. Like you got to look deeper for all that. And yeah, I would love to have higher TRT or higher testosterone rather, but it's not like having relatively low testosterone is like inhibiting my ability to perform in all things.
Yep.
So
I think people jump too quick on it.
100% they do.
And they use it as an excuse to go get on something, and they just say, "Oh, my life sucks," and this is before they address their nutrition, before they address their stress, their sleep. Get in the gym, move some weights, do some things that you can naturally beef that up. And then, if you're still feeling like crap, then if your numbers are still low, then you can explore other options. But if you don't have any starting out metrics, that's why it's important to track those. Maybe even on just a yearly basis, just to kind of see where things are trending. And then if you start to feel like crap or things aren't feeling like normal, you can go get your labs done and you can see, oh, well, this is really low or this is really high or something's way off. What's going on? Then you look at things you can change naturally before, going the medical route.
Yeah, 100%. And my numbers are up quite a bit from what they were, obviously, when I was super lean. I mean, I think when I hit the 3.9%, I was at 89 total testosterone.
Well, that's to be expected. I mean, that's crazy, crazy low, but you know exactly why.
Yeah. And I'm a little bit lower. I think I was at 450 earlier this year, but then I went to that little bit of a deficit to lose 20 pounds. So mine's a little bit low from that. So it's a constantly moving number.
But you have all that data. So you can say, okay, well, here's where it started to dip and here's the lowest it's ever been. And what do you know? That line's right up with contest prep.
Yeah.
And then as you come out of that prep and your reverse diet and your intake goes back up, you can see those numbers climb back up. But if you were only to take a stab in the dark here and there and not really align those two things to one another, you would think, holy cow, yeah, something's wrong. What's going on? And, I think that the average dude probably doesn't get that checked until they decide they want to get it checked for some reason. And then now they're like, okay, I need to go on TRT.
I think I'm all for doing whatever you can to improve your numbers naturally. I wish my testosterone was higher than it was. I need to stress less, but that's not something that I'm really going to be able to accomplish.
That's not an option.
Get the business down a little bit more. But all that to say, I see a lot of people getting on TRT because they'll go get a test done and they'll have low testosterone. But as you
they still eat like shit.
Exactly. And here's the thing, like beyond just the physical implications of like what their diet's like, what their activities like, what their sleep patterns are like, they look to these external factors to solve their problem. And their problem is not the low testosterone. Their problem is
lifestyle
and just like not having a purpose in life. Like if you spend your time pacifying yourself by watching TV too late, looking at porn, eating crap food, not sleeping, and then are surprised that you have no, that your health markers are in the tanks, who would have thunk it? Whereas if you like figure out what you're doing here on this planet, figure out what's worth your time and effort, and like just tirelessly work to achieve it and do something of value that brings you fulfillment, you're going to have better markers because you're going to have a calling. And then you're going to know what it is you're going to... I mean, when you're excited about things in life, like the biggest thing about having TRT issues or low testosterone rather is that people say you lack vitality in life. My numbers aren't great, but I'm full of vitality. It's because I know what I'm working towards. I know what I'm passionate about. Like people need to find that. And if they find that, then their lifestyle improves by default. So
quit being lazy.
Yeah, quit being lazy.
And eat right, lift weights.
Yep.
Get rid of the dad bod.
Yep. Touche. All right, my man. Well, let's call it a wrap.
All right.
Till next time. Ta-ta for now.
Ta-ta.